Well, certain areas of the state are seeing lots of these this year. Grasshoppers are out, and they can certainly become an annoyance for you personally. But in crops and pastures, they can become a threat to your bottom line. Bill Dodd has this story.
Grasshoppers can be detrimental to a row crop operation, and the same can be said for the pastures of livestock producers as well. According to USDA data based on the 2022 Adult Grasshopper Survey, it was determined that 10 counties in Nebraska had fall grasshopper numbers averaging over 15 per square yard. This data pointed to a potential problem for the summer of 2023.
And we had 10 counties in the west central part of Nebraska and the Panhandle that did have adult grasshopper numbers averaging over 15 per square yard, and that is a red flag. So we actually have a couple producers in Grant County that have seen high immature or nymphal numbers, grasshopper numbers. Now, not every location will have high numbers, but especially where you see those little red areas on the map, those are warning signs that you need to be observant. But I do know that there's a couple of producers in Grant County and maybe even in Cherry County that are looking very seriously at their population numbers.
Typically, treatments for grasshoppers should be completed no later than July 1st. And while it may be too late in the season to treat pastures for grasshoppers, if left unchecked, these pests can cause damage that would take a great deal of time to recover from.
Give you an example, an adult grasshopper can consume 50% of its weight per day. So over time, if you get a high enough population, they can consume enough forage to equal that of one cow. And it's especially problematic where you didn't get grass production the previous couple years and the pastures were grazed pretty hard. And that's where the impact will certainly be the greatest because they can consume quite a bit, and you don't want to, when they start reducing 50% of the plant, that's when you've got real problems. We only like to see 25% loss of that plant.
While the lack of rainfall in the past year has been conducive to grasshopper populations thriving in these localized areas, there is some hope that the recent rains that have fallen on western Nebraska could offset some of the feeding damage done by these insatiable swarms.
So this phenomenon is generated by weather. We had a series of 3 years of very dry conditions out west here, which really increases the likelihood of seeing grasshopper populations increase. They like a very dry environment, less than 30 inches of moisture per year. So historically, the western part of Nebraska has always been a prime situation for pasture grasshopper development. Not as bad as it was in 2010, 11, and 12, and hopefully with all the moisture we received here in the last 30 to 40 days, grass production will certainly increase and help offset some of the feeding damage caused by the grasshoppers.
As it stands, there are 50 species of grasshoppers in Nebraska rangelands, though fewer than 10 species have ever reached economic levels. However, as the summer months continue on, it would be a good idea to keep a close eye on those grasshoppers in your pasture. Reporting for Market Journal, I'm Bill Dodd.